I knew something was off long before the pictures went up on the wall. It started with the late nights, the sudden meetings, the silence after she hung up her phone, every conversation ending with, "I'll be home soon, love. Don't wait up." At first, I tried to dismiss the creeping doubt. We've been married for 12 years. We've built a life together, a nice home, careers that complemented each other, even plans to travel more now that our son had started college. Trust was a cornerstone of our relationship, or so I thought. But then the changes started. She'd come home smelling like a cologne I didn't recognize. She began paying more attention to her appearance, spending hours in front of the mirror, choosing outfits she hadn't worn in years. Her smile, the one that used to light up just for me, now seemed distant, rehearsed. So, I started paying attention. I told myself I wasn't paranoid, just observant. I'd check the mileage on her car. I'd glance at her phone when she wasn't looking, even though I hated myself for it. And then there were the excuses: working late, a girls' night out, a last-minute client dinner. Each one felt thinner than the last. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I started planning. If she was lying to me, I needed proof. Cold, undeniable proof. And that's where the photos came in. It wasn't hard to hire a private investigator. A few clicks online, a couple of emails, and soon I had a professional tailing her. Within days, the evidence started rolling in. Photos of her laughing with a man I'd never seen before. A man with a perfectly trimmed beard and an air of arrogance that oozed through the images. They weren't just having dinner. They were leaning into each other, her hand resting lightly on his arm, their heads close as if the rest of the world didn't exist. The final straw came on a Saturday when she claimed she had to fly to a conference. The Pi's camera captured her checking into a boutique hotel just an hour away. The man joined her 20 minutes later. I'll spare you the details, but suffice it to say, I had everything I needed. For days, I couldn't think straight. I oscillated between rage and heartbreak. This woman, who promised to love me for better or worse, was sneaking around like a teenager. And for what? For him. I wasn't about to let it slide. If they wanted to burn everything we built, I'd hand them the match and make sure they felt the heat. The idea came to me late one night, staring at the photos spread across my desk. It wasn't enough to confront her. I wanted her to see what she'd destroyed. I wanted her lover to feel the weight of his actions. I wanted to make sure neither of them walked away unscathed. So, I printed the photos. Dozens of them, every damning image the Pi had sent me. I framed them, carefully choosing the most incriminating ones. The intimate dinners, the lingering hugs, the hotel entrance. I spent hours hanging them in our living room, lining the walls like a gallery. Each frame was a testament to her betrayal, a shrine to the lies she'd told. When she walked through the door that night, I was sitting on the couch, a glass of whiskey in hand. She smiled, her face glowing from her supposed late-night meeting. She didn't notice the photos at first, too busy kicking off her heels and setting her bag on the counter. "You're up late," she said, her voice light. "Everything okay?" I didn't answer. I just watched her, waited. It wasn't until she turned toward the living room that she saw them. Her eyes landed on the first photo, then the next, and the next. Her smile faltered, her steps slowing as she moved closer to the wall. She reached out, trembling fingers brushing against a frame, as if touching it might make it disappear. What is this?" Her voice cracked, barely above a whisper. "That," I said, standing up, "is the truth. The truth you've been hiding. The truth you thought I'd never find out." Her face drained of color. "I can explain." I laughed, a cold, bitter sound that filled the room. "Explain? Oh, please, go ahead. Explain why you've been sneaking around with him. Explain the lies. The nights I waited up, worried something had happened to you. Explain all of it." Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't care. "Not anymore. It wasn't serious," she stammered. "It was a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake." "Meaningless?" I stepped closer, my voice rising. "You call this meaningless?" I gestured to the photos. "You don't get to downplay this. You don't get to brush it off like it's nothing. You destroyed our marriage, our family, and for what? For him." Her lips quivered, but she had no answer. And that's when I dropped the bombshell. "You're not the only one I talked to," I said. "I paid him a visit." Her eyes widened. What did you do?" I smiled, a grim satisfaction coursing through me. I made sure he understood exactly what kind of man he is. I showed him the photos. I told him who I am. I told him what he's done. And you know what he said? She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Nothing, I spat, because cowards like him never have anything to say when they're caught. He begged me not to tell his wife. Oh, didn't you know? He's married, too. Lovely woman, 2 kids. I've got her number, by the way. Should I call her? Let her know what her husband's been up to. No, please, don't, she sobbed, collapsing onto the couch. Please, don't ruin their lives. Their lives, I shouted. You've got some nerve. You didn't care about their lives when you were sneaking around with him. You didn't care about our life, our marriage, our son. Why should I care about them? For a moment, the only sound in the room was her crying. I stood there, fists clenched, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to scream, to break something, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she'd caused. But instead, I took a deep breath and stepped back. It's over, I said, my voice low but firm. I've already contacted a lawyer. The divorce papers will be ready soon. You can keep this house, for all I care. It's tainted now, just like you. She looked up at me, her face a mess of tears and regret. Please, don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll fix this. Just, don't leave me. I shook my head. You already left me. The moment you chose him over us, you left. And there's no coming back from that. As I walked out of the room, I felt a strange sense of relief. The weight I'd been carrying for weeks was gone. I wasn't the bad guy here. I wasn't the one who broke our vows. And now, I was free to start over, free to find someone who truly valued me, free to rebuild my life on my terms. The photos stayed on the wall for another week, a haunting reminder of what she'd thrown away. When I finally took them down, I didn't throw them out. I kept them, tucked away in a box, not as a memento, but as a lesson. A lesson about trust, betrayal, and the strength it takes to walk away from someone who doesn't deserve you.